Today we're stepping in the mysterious, atypical and cryptic world of Slitterhead, a game about a spirit possessing all sorts of beings in the quest of destroying monsters roaming the streets of Kowloon. Heavily inspired by Hong Kong and the labyrinth slum of Kowloon, delivered by Bokeh Game Studio, founded by Keiichiro Toyama, creator of Silent Hill, Gravity Rush and the Siren series. As a first project, Slitterhead is an intriguing take between action and horror. It's seemingly a low-budget game with a bizarre art direction, according to the trailers. Does its strangeness is enough to keep us interested all along? We'll see that. And why my video is in Franglish, as my previous one are in French? Well, I want to be original and clumsy too. Everything starts with a dog in a narrow street, and this dog is you, almost. You are an entity floating around Kowloon without a clue about what you're doing here. When something has caught your attention, something weird. The streets are hiding shady businesses, and after some step, a moving corpse starts to pursue you, his head literally slittered. Weird. Does it have a link with the title of the game? So you jump from body to body to avoid obstacle and a certain death. But you are a spirit. Technically you can be killed, right? Well, if you possess someone who's dying, you need to find another body quickly, or your connection with the world will end. But that's not all. Every time your host lights out, your spirit is weakening, and after 3 times, it's over. A nice idea, isn't it? All the hosts can fight back monsters in a very limited way. They're only humans, so your strength comes from numbers. By jumping from body to body to create openings and counterattack, or surprise the foes from behind. Oh yeah, and there's also a system of perfect parry, slowing down time if you are good enough. The first chapter introduces the basics of Slitterhead gameplay and obviously finish with the encounter of a monster that pushes the limits of your abilities as a human. That's where you get introduced to rarities. They're basically humans with strong capacities, connecting with your spirit and keeping the pace with Slitterhead foes by deploying different abilities. That's how you met Julie on the verge of death. In this first grid fight, Julie's possession is a game changer. Extremely fast, combo-oriented, with some distant attack, and the ability to heal as a citizen taking part in the battle. Boss is defeated, mission cleared. Now you know pretty much the basis of a Slitterhead game loop. On talking about loop, Kowloon invasion of Slitterhead seems to be connected to a loop constantly rewriting the events, without affecting the memories of our spirit that we'll call Night Owl. This ability will be crucial during the adventure, and this mysterious loop is only one part of the narrative choices made on the game. Night Owl don't remember anything about the existence he had before taking possession of the dog in the alley. Only that an imminent catastrophe is looming, and to prevent that, he needs to destroy all the Slitterhead threatening Kowloon, after disappearance of numerous people in the slums. Near the beautiful neon light of the city, there's criminality, suspicious activities, dark alleys and poverty. And I think it's a unique take in gaming to make the adventure gravitating around slum, even if it's not really the main point of it. Slitterhead is also one of those productions trying to stay voluntarily cryptic, scattering the narration between cutscenes, dialogues, and small one-to-one talks with the rarity that Night Owl will meet. All of them have their own personalities, even if they can be stereotypical, but it's more a vibe thing for me. All feel really spiritual, disembodied during these talks. It's probably a choice made to lessen the spendings, but I think it works very well. We get to have the point of view of all rarities depending on the events, and it's a good addition to deepen some parts of their story, personalities, or simply giving Kowloon a true life and economic state. The main problem is that all of that can be hard to follow, because as you're progressing on your hunt, a lot of characters appears, each saying something one by one. In the end, it can be confusing if we add a time loop on top of it. But be sure, it's not only a story limited to Slitterhead bad, human good. There's more to it, and I will want to say it worked really well, sometimes. There's some part of it I truly enjoyed, like those involved Yinyu, with some cool aesthetic choice for telling his story, pushing the strangeness as a peak and breaking some aesthetic choice for the good of narration. Unfortunately, the story is pushed back by a very slow pace, caused by repetitivity and some strange design choice, like being totally blocked when character speaks or having the necessity to redo parts of a level to find a specific thing making you progress. Can be tiresome, especially when the first hours of Slitterhead are not the most interesting. And by talking about interest, we can go deeper into the bright side of the gameplay loop. I already mentioned the body jumping and unique skills attributed to rarities, but that's not all. All the system is built around blood, and blood is your health and the price to pay to your skills. So it forces the players to find a balance between heavy attack and defense. I must say I love to use pretty much all the blood I can to do heavy damages quickly. The catch is that the possesses dies, so it was maybe not the greatest idea. But at least it was fun. The blood level gauge is a great idea, forcing us to jump frequently and to not be too greedy. Combined with the perfect parry mechanic, it worked pretty well, even if we saw that all of this is not polished enough. Especially with the game feel. It doesn't really have impact, so most of the time it's like pushing the air. Still, it's a surprisingly complex system for a game that doesn't seem to have extravagant funds. But there's more to that. Remember about rarities? There's 8 of them to unlock, with each their own unique skills, and some of them shared with civilians. For each mission, the game lets us choose which rarity to bring with us. It really gives a way to break the monotony, as we have a wide variety of powers to play around, starting from the frenetic attack of Julie, with healing, invocation of new civilians, sacrifice, taking damage to counterattack, or simply being a beast. Again, it really surprised me how many possibilities the game offers combat-wise. But I talked about monotony earlier. Slitterhead is a mission-based game where you return to a selection screen each time. And please, enjoy the song for just a few seconds. Did I mention Akira Yamaoka worked on this? Well, no, yes, and the song is solid, mainly on menus and boss fights. There's something mystical behind them. I just love this kind of experiment with sound. Back to the mission structure. In the selection screen, you can talk to rarities, which is necessary to progress in the story. Access the closet to customize your characters with some accessories that you can unlock, or spend some skill points to buy new active and passive skills. There's a lot of them, and maybe my side is worse than expected, but I only discovered that we could buy those grey out skills only towards the last part of the game. So if you play, you know that you can do that, and believe it, it will clearly ease your progression. I voluntarily took some time for describing the first mission earlier, because all the missions progress the same way, minus some exception. And it's pretty simple. Your rarities enter an area, in Kolong Main Street or somewhere else. You investigate on a case or search for something. You fight your way against a Slitterhead lying around, and you have a boss fight after a chase. It's pretty much always like that. Repetitivity itself does not bother me in gaming, but it always depends on how much the system is appealing to me, and if the game proposes a strong enough experience to compensate the boredom. Well, Slitterhead didn't totally click with my taste on that, even if I really enjoy some part of it and the work done around the combat system. The main problems come from choices made for the progression throughout the story. Slitterhead is slow, very slow. I understand that investigation is a huge part of it, but I find this part is somewhat really limited, mainly because the game don't let you progress by yourself and never stop taking you by hand on your main objective. Let's say I'm walking around, trying to figure out what the story expects from me, and the characters start talking. At this point, the most annoying thing happens. I can't move anymore, and a lot of time the camera is recentering on the goal. I find it very frustrating because it's like that during all the game, cutting briefly the action and exploration. It's even more annoying when we basically have a tool made to help you, allowing Night Owl to smell or feel presence of important Slitterhead. On top of that, pretty much all missions are linear enough to avoid getting lost, even if some exploration can be done to find secrets and more. And I didn't mention some tutorial boxes appearing multiple times during the game for absolutely the same things. This is one of my issues with Slitterhead. It really impacts negatively the rhythm of the game, as the first levels are not deep as we can resume them to kill bad Slitterhead. And by the time the scenario develops into something more complex about the devastation of Kowloon, the city present on a loop of events, and the meaning of the existence of our spirit, Night Owl, there's a huge chance some people would already have quit the adventure, especially as the game forces you to come back on mission you already finished to find rarities and unlock the rest of the story. I think the peak of the game comes in the middle of the adventure with the story involving Yin and a strange Slitterhead cult seeming under control. I found this part really clumsy, but with some great narrative idea, mainly on the general art design, and overall, the missions involving this cult break the monotony, but not always in a good way, because during the sections of the game, it is needed to act with furtivity, and Slitterhead don't have a proper system to do so. There's large sections simply consist to pass at the right time when guards don't look, with huge indicator giving hints to where to go. There's no suspense to it. I can feel it was ambitious, but it does not reach the expectation. When you get caught, you can sometimes fight back, but it's really difficult, and it's preferable to simply restart from a near checkpoint. Plus, at this point, escaping phases become more tense with the implication of military, a lot of Slitterhead and really powerful foes. Tend to give a sense of emergency, it's timed and it's ambitious in terms of realization, but it falls short. Firstly because the bosses have a lot of health, so they are very tanky and you can't really predict which rarities to bring before going in the mission area. So when we have a time-limited escape with a boss tanking damage while managing other monsters with a wrong combination of rarities when running around the city in the same path again and again, it's really exhausting. And I don't even talk about a boss that after a long chase just rewards us with an horrible double boss fight. It reminds me something. There's a lot of phases like that I found really excessive, and I feel all of that would have been better if it was simpler or maybe more narrative focused, as the gameplay look is really pushing us back with its repetitivity. The second part of Slitterhead is strangely ambitious, but clearly lack of polishing globally. There's a rarity joining your group at a point in time, just like that, from nowhere. A pretty useful one, but it seems so random as other rarities need to be saved and possessed before being playable, and I really don't understand this meaning. I will not spoil the scenario, but it really developed pretty intensively, starting with Yenyu's arc. It's pretty enjoyable globally, and a true ending exists in the game if you save enough people during all the past missions. I will say it's not a surprising plot, but it's interesting enough to worth a try, and it's one of those games where you can make a lot of theories. Aside of everything, some bosses are painful to fight, as Yenyu's arc final boss that I found too long, too annoying, and never stopping flashing your screen light, and the final Slitterhead boss of the game, which is absolutely obnoxious. I almost gave up at this point, probably because the game was already far beyond my tolerance, and this boss doesn't really present itself as a final boss. Its scenery don't even match some other great enemies. It's just really hard with a timer that can kill all your characters in one shot. Except that most of the one-to-one fights are really cool, and some of them are excellent when they concern important characters near the end of Slitterhead, with some really interesting surprises revitalizing the usual scheme of combat. You understand it, Slitterhead is a complicated case. I didn't really wait for it, and I was well aware that the experience will not be a full polished AAA game, whatever it could mean in 2025. but I can't lie, finishing it was difficult because of its structure and game design choices. What made me continuing was its universe and some highlight during the story, especially in the second part and near the end, where there's clearly more stakes than in the beginning, with some neat scenes and good surprises. I must also say that the art direction is pretty cool and unique, with this Kowloon-inspired city, there's lighting, there's characters between realism and anime stylization, and the insect-shaped Slitterheads. Transformation cutscenes are disgusting in the best possible way. The work in the soundtrack is also very good. It's nothing that I already hear somewhere else. It's really mystical, dark, experimental. Both his soundtrack are excellent too. Slitterhead is an ambitious project, but I think the studio didn't have the resources to totally reach their vision, and I can understand it as a first project. However, the price tag is still $50. I don't feel like I lose my time by any means. This game really feels like an experiment from start to finish. Plus, I can clearly see a base that can be reused in future production for Bokeh Studio. It's clearly a production with a radical artistic vision and a unique atmosphere. Last thing, aside from design choices that I disliked, the game ran fine and I didn't get through any serious technical issue. Well, I think that's all for me. I can recommend Slitterhead if you are into these very experimental and cryptic games, but not at full price even with its ambitious nature. If you are more into streamlined games, it's maybe not for you, because there's some part of it that risk to make you really mad. Thank you for staying until the end of this Franglish video. Enjoy your games and see you next time.